Hey everyone, welcome to Midnight Mystic Stories. I noticed a lot of you who are watching and enjoying the content aren't subscribed yet. If you love spine-chilling stories, creepy encounters, and unexplained mysteries, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. It really helps the channel grow and helps us keep bringing more of the content you love. And be sure to comment below where you are tuning in from. Thank you and enjoy the video. I never thought I'd be the kind of guy who ends up on one of those true crime podcasts, you know? Like the ones where some narrator with a deep voice talks slow over creepy music and says, "This week, we dive into the case of Daniel Reeves, just a regular guy looking for love, who vanished without a trace." That's not supposed to be me. I'm boring. I work at a warehouse, drive a beat-up Honda, and my idea of a wild Friday is ordering extra cheese on my pizza. But here I am, sitting in my car outside a place called Hollow Pines, trying to talk myself out of going in. And honestly, I don't even know if I'm scared of what's inside or what I already saw on the way here. It started with an app, not the usual swipe left-right garbage. This one was different, some niche thing a coworker mentioned during a smoke break. "It's not for everyone," he said. "But if you're into deep connections, real vibes, not just thirsty pics, this is it." Sounded like another scam. But I was lonely, and not too sad. I eat cereal in silence, kind of lonely. More like, I'd started noticing how quiet my apartment got after 9 p.m., how the walls seemed to lean in a little closer every week. So I downloaded it. The app didn't ask for photos at first. Just questions. Deep ones. Like, what's the last thing you remember your mom saying to you before she passed? Or have you ever felt like someone was watching you from inside your own memories? Weird stuff, but I answered honestly. And somehow, after 3 days, it matched me with her, Clara. She lived an hour out, near the edge of the state forest. Sent me a message that just said, "You feel it too, don't you?" The pull. I should have uninstalled right then, but I didn't. I said yes. I said I did. We texted for a week. Not small talk. No buh or WYD. She wrote in full paragraphs, like journal entries. About the trees near her house that never lose their leaves, about the way the fog rolls in at exactly 4:17 a.m. and forms shapes if you're awake to see it. She said she'd never dated anyone from the city because they never noticed things. I told her I noticed. I always have. I just never had anyone to tell. She invited me to her place. Said she lived in an old caretaker's cabin near Hollow Pines Trailhead. No cell service, no neighbors. But you'll be safe. She wrote, "I only invite people I know." That should have been the second red flag, but I was already hooked. The way she talked, it was like she'd been waiting for me. Like I was late. I left after sunset, drove down winding back roads with my phone in a plastic bag taped to the dash. Her idea. "So you don't get tempted," she said. The GPS died around mile 30. After that, I followed handwritten directions she'd mailed me on yellowed paper, folded like a letter from the 1800s. "Turn where the road splits like a snake's tongue," it said. "Park under the dead oak with the face in the bark." I found it. The tree looked like it was screaming. I parked. The air was thick, not just cold, like breathing through a wet towel. No crickets, no wind, just silence that felt full, like it was holding its breath. The cabin was set back in the trees, lit by a single porch bulb that flickered like a dying heartbeat. No lights inside. I walked up the path, gravel crunching too loud under my shoes. The front door opened before I could knock. She was real, not some filtered illusion. Tall, pale, with dark hair that fell past her waist. Wore a long gray dress that looked like it belonged in a museum. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. They were too wide, too still, like glass marbles someone had glued in. "Come in," she said without speaking. At least, I didn't hear her voice. But the words formed in my head, clear as if she'd whispered them into my ear. I stepped inside. The air was warmer, but not comforting. Smelled like old books and wet soil. The walls were covered in sketches, drawings of people, all facing the same direction, mouths open like they were screaming. One looked like me. I didn't say anything. Didn't want to break the quiet. She led me to a room in the back. No furniture, just a circle of candles on the floor unlit. In the center, a small wooden box with carvings all over it, twisted trees, faces in the bark, eyes in the roots. "Sit," she said in my head again. I did. She sat across from me, stared, not blinking. I tried to look away, but my eyes kept snapping back to hers. It was like she was pulling me in, not with her hands, but with something deeper. A hum started in my skull, low at first, then louder, like a fridge that's been running for decades, but worse, like it was coming from inside the walls. She reached for the box, opened it slow. Inside wasn't jewelry or a photo. It was a clump of dark hair, tied with red string. Human. I knew that much. And it felt warm. Not like it had been held. Like it was still alive. She lifted it, held it over the circle. Then she looked at me and said, not in my head this time, but out loud. Her voice was wrong. Too many layers. Like several people talking at once. "You're the seventh," she said. "The strongest pull. The others faded too fast. But you've been listening your whole life, haven't you? To the quiet, to the spaces between sounds. You've always known something was there. I wanted to run, but my body wouldn't move. My arms, my legs, they weren't mine anymore. I could feel them, but like they belonged to someone else, someone far away." The hum got louder. The candles lit themselves, one by one, flames burning black at the core. The drawings on the walls started to move. Not the paper, the people in them. Their heads turned, their mouths opened. Silent screams. She placed a hair on the floor. Then she reached for me, not with her hand, with something behind her, a shadow that didn't match her shape. Long fingers made of smoke and dark. It touched my chest. Not skin, not cold. It felt like drowning in slow motion. Memories started slipping out of me. Birthday parties, my dog when I was 10, the first time I saw my dad cry. They floated up like bubbles and popped in the air. I tried to scream. No sound came. My vision tunneled. The last thing I saw was her standing over me, whispering, "You'll stay here. You'll help me wait. And the others, they'll hear you. They'll come." Then nothing. I don't know how long I was out. Hours? Days. When I woke, I was in my car. Engine running. Radio off. My hands on the wheel. The cabin was gone. The tree with the screaming face gone. Just empty woods and fog. I drove home. Checked the news. No missing persons. No reports. Nothing. But things are different now. I can't sleep past 4:17 a.m. That's when the hum starts. It's faint, but it's there. In the walls. In my teeth. Sometimes, I catch myself writing messages on yellow paper. Long paragraphs. About the fog. About the pull. About how lonely it is out there, waiting. My phone keeps showing a notification. One new match. The app one deleted. The profile picture is blurred, but I know it's me. The username, Clara. And last night, I woke up standing in my bathroom, holding a pair of scissors. My hair was gone. Cut close to the scalp. On the sink, a red string tied around a small pile of dark strands. I haven't left the house since. I keep thinking about the next guy. The one who'll get the message. The one who'll feel the pull. The one who'll drive out to Hollow Pines because he's tired of being alone. I hope he turns back, but I know he won't. There she was, Lena, leaning against a mossy stone wall in what looked like a forest clearing, smiling like she knew a secret the rest of the world hadn't caught onto yet. Her dog, a big shaggy mutt with one ear flopped over, sat beside her like a guard. The caption under the photo said, *, he doesn't bite. I might, *, I laughed out loud. That's how it started. We matched at like 2 in the morning. I wasn't even looking, just scrolling to kill time because my AC was broken and sleep felt impossible. We texted for a week. Nothing crazy, just the usual back and forth, music, movies, weird food combos. She liked black olives on pizza. I hated them. She said she could never live near the ocean because it made her feel too small. I told her I hated cities because they made me feel too crowded. It felt easy, like talking to someone I'd known longer than 7 days. Our first date was supposed to be at this little Italian place downtown, the kind with red checkered tablecloths and garlic bread that comes in a basket shaped like a hat. But the night before, she texted, "Rain's coming. My place? I make a mean grilled cheese, and I've got a record player." I said yes before I even thought about it. Her apartment was tucked in an old brick building on the edge of town, the kind that used to be factories or warehouses. The elevator creaked, like it was holding its breath every time it moved. Her door had a dent near the knob, like someone had kicked it once and never fixed it. Inside, it smelled like cinnamon and wet wool. The walls were covered in tapestries, dark colors, swirls and patterns that looked like they were moving if you stared too long. Her dog, Bear, didn't growl or bark, just looked at me with these tired eyes like he'd seen too much. We ate grilled cheese on the couch. She played some vinyl, some band I'd never heard of, slow and moody with a lot of reverb. We talked about dreams. She said she kept having the same one where she was standing in a field during a storm, and the rain fell upward. I told her I dreamt about being trapped in my high school, walking the same hallway over and over, never finding the exit. She said that sounded like her life before she moved here. It got late. The storm rolled, and like she predicted, thunder cracked like someone splitting wood in the sky. The power flickered once, twice, then stayed out. She lit candles, big thick ones in glass jars, the kind that smell like vanilla and something else I couldn't name. We sat in the dim light, close but not touching. I could hear the rain drumming on the window, steady and loud. That's when she asked me the question, "Have you ever felt like someone was watching you when you were completely alone?" I laughed at first, like in a horror movie way. She didn't laugh, just looked at me, her eyes reflecting the candlelight like twin flames. "No, like you're not alone in your own head." I didn't know what to say. I thought about it. There was that time last winter when I was homesick, lying on the couch at 3 a.m., and I swear I heard someone breathing in the room with me. I checked everywhere. Nothing, but the feeling stayed. I told her that. She nodded slowly. "It's not your imagination." Then she stood up and walked to the bedroom. I stayed put, not sure if I was supposed to follow. After a minute, she came back with a Polaroid camera. Old school, boxy, yellowed at the edges. "I take a photo of everyone who comes here," she said, "after the first date." "Why?" "Because I need to know if they're really here." I didn't get it, but I didn't push. She handed me the camera. "Take one of me." I did. Click. The flash lit up the room like a lightning strike. The photo slid out, slowly developing in my hand. At first, it was just blurry shapes. Then Lena came into focus, sitting on the edge of the couch, smiling that same half-smile from her profile. But behind her, in the dark corner of the room, something else was forming. It looked like a person, but wrong. The head was tilted too far to one side. The arms were too long, fingers brushing the floor. It wasn't standing. It was crouched, like it had been there the whole time, just out of sight. I stared at the photo. My chest tightened. "What the hell is this?" I whispered. Lena took the photo from me. She didn't look surprised, just sad. "That's why I take the pictures," she said. "It shows who's really in the room." I stood up. "This isn't funny." "It's not a joke," she said. "It's been following me for years." I thought maybe it wouldn't come if I brought someone here. But it always comes. I backed toward the door. My hands were shaking. "You're messed up. This is messed up." She didn't move. "It only shows up in photos. Never in mirrors. Never in person. But it's there. And it gets closer every time." I grabbed my jacket. The dog watched me, still as a statue. "You don't believe me," she said. "No, I don't." I opened the door. The hallway was dark. The storm was louder now, wind howling through the old building like it was trying to get in. I took one step out. Then I stopped, because in the dim light from her apartment, I saw it. On the wall beside the door, there was a row of Polaroids, dozens of them, all of people, smiling, sitting on her couch, and in every single one, in the same dark corner, that thing, crooked, too tall, watching. And in the last photo, the most recent one, it wasn't behind her. It was right beside her, shoulder to shoulder, smiling. I slammed the door shut and turned to her. "You've done this before," I said. "You've brought people here. You've taken their photos." She didn't answer. I looked down at the photo I'd just taken, the one of her, with the thing in the corner. But now it looked different. The figure was closer. Its head was turned, and its hand was out, like it was reaching. I dropped the photo. Lena stood up slowly. "It's not me you should be afraid of," she said. Then she walked past me and opened the closet door. Inside, there were more cameras, dozens of them, and on the shelves, row after row of developed photos. All of me. Me in my apartment. Me at work. Me sleeping. Me walking to my car. Photos taken from outside my window, from behind trees, from the parking garage. Photos I never knew existed. And in every single one, I wasn't alone. There was always someone in the corner, crooked, smiling, getting closer. And then I realized it wasn't following her. It was following me. And she wasn't the one taking the photos. I was. I don't know how long I stood there. My breath came in short bursts. The dog finally moved, walking over to me and sitting at my feet like he was waiting for a command. Lena picked up one of the cameras from the shelf. She held it out to me. "You know how to use it," she said. I backed away. No way. She didn't push. Just set it down on the coffee table. The storm raged on, and in the silence between thunderclaps, I heard it. A soft click, like a camera shutter, from inside my own head. I never thought a dating app would be the last thing I ever opened on my phone. Not because I found the love of my life or finally got tired of swiping through the same recycled faces, but because it led me to a place I can't come back from. And I don't mean emotionally. I mean literally. There's a spot on the edge of town, woods, really, that I didn't even know existed until he mentioned it. His name was Daniel. Profile picture showed him hiking, smiling like he genuinely enjoyed nature, which already made him suspicious. Everyone I know pretends to like hiking just to seem deep. But Daniel didn't seem fake. His bio was short. Just looking for someone who likes quiet places and long drives. No emojis, no dumb quotes, no gym selfies. I swiped right. He did too. We matched. A week of texting. Nothing wild. Just normal stuff. Movies, food, music. He liked old horror films, the kind shot on film with grainy visuals and long silences. I told him I preferred things that made sense. He said that was probably why we get along. The first time we met, it was at a diner off Route 9. Nothing fancy, just yellow booths, flickering neon, and the smell of burnt coffee. He showed up in a gray hoodie, hands in pockets, hair slightly messy like he'd just rolled out of bed. He smiled when he saw me, not the wide, forced kind, but a small, real one. We talked for 2 hours. No awkward pauses. No desperate energy. It felt easy, like we'd known each other for years. When he asked if I wanted to go on a real date, somewhere away from streetlights and menus, I said yes. He suggested a drive. Said there was a lake deep in the woods behind Black Pine Ridge. Not on any map. Just a spot he found once when his GPS glitched. Sounded sketchy, sure, but something about the way he said it made me believe him. Like he wasn't trying to impress me. Just share something quiet and real. So I got in his car. An old Subaru, clean but worn, like it had seen a lot of back roads. The drive took over an hour. The roads got narrower, the trees thicker. No street signs. No other cars. Just the hum of the engine and the occasional crack of a branch under tires. We parked at the end of a dirt path. He turned off the engine. The silence hit like a wall. No crickets. No wind. Nothing. He grabbed a blanket from the back and said, "Come on. It's not far." The path was barely visible, just a faint trail through tangled underbrush. My phone had no signal. I didn't think much of it. Rural areas, right? But the deeper we walked, the heavier the air felt, like the atmosphere itself was pressing down. The trees leaned inward, branches twisted like they were watching. I kept glancing back, expecting to see the car, but it vanished behind the foliage within minutes. When we reached the lake, it wasn't what I expected. No clear water, no reflection of the sky, just a dark, still surface like oil. No ripples, no movement. It didn't even look like water. More like a hole in the ground filled with something that just pretended to be liquid. Daniel spread the blanket near the edge and sat. I hesitated, then joined him. He didn't talk, just stared at the lake. I tried making small talk about the weather, the silence, how weird it was that no animals were around. He nodded but didn't respond. After a while, I stopped trying. The longer I sat there, the more my skin itched. Not physically. It was like my nerves were misfiring, like my brain couldn't decide if I should run or freeze. Then he said, "Do you ever feel like you've been here before?" I laughed, but it came out weak. "No. Have you?" He didn't answer, just kept staring. I followed his gaze. The surface of the lake didn't reflect anything. Not the trees. Not the sky. Not even us. It was like it absorbed light instead of bouncing it back. I blinked, and for a second, I thought I saw something under the surface. A shape. Human. But still. Too still. I looked again. Nothing. My chest tightened. I wanted to leave. But I didn't want to seem weird, so I stayed. Daniel finally turned to me and said, "You don't remember, do you?" "Remember what?" He smiled. Not the small, real one from before. This one was off. Like he was trying to copy a smile from memory. "You came here with someone else. Years ago. Before the app. Before all this." I shook my head. "I've never been here." "You said the same thing last time." A cold weight dropped in my stomach. "What are you talking about?" He reached into his pocket and pulled out my phone. Not his. Mine. I froze. I hadn't taken it out since we left the car. "You left it in the passenger seat," he said. I picked it up. I reached for it, but he held it just out of reach. "You don't remember because you reset. Every time. Same questions. Same doubts. Same fear." I stood up. "I'm leaving." "You can't." I turned to the path. It was gone. Just trees. Thick, endless trees. No trail. No way back. I spun around. Daniel was still sitting, calm, holding my phone like it was a trophy. "You don't get it," he said. "This isn't a date. It's a test. And you failed it. Again." My breath came fast. "What the hell is wrong with you?" He tilted his head. "You don't remember the first time, do you? You came with your ex. You argued. You pushed her. She fell in. You watched her sink. And then you ran. But the lake, it doesn't let go. It pulls you back. Again and again. Until you admit it." I backed away. "That's not true. I've never." "You say that every loop." "I'm not looping. This is insane." He stood slowly. "The lake remembers. Your guilt remembers. But your mind, it erases. Over and over. You come back. You meet me. I try to help you remember. But you never do." I turned and ran. Not toward the path. There was no path, just straight into the trees. Branches ripped at my arms. Roots tripped me. I fell, got up, kept going. My lungs burned. My legs screamed. But I didn't stop. I couldn't. Eventually, I burst into a clearing. The lake. Right in front of me. Daniel was already there, sitting on the blanket, like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't just run for my life. "You can't leave," he said. "Not until you remember." I dropped to my knees. "I don't know what you want from me." "The truth." "I didn't do anything." He stood, walked to the edge, and pointed. "Look." I crawled forward, peered into the black surface. At first, nothing. Then, slowly, a face formed. A woman. Young. Eyes wide. Mouth open like she was screaming. But no sound. Just her sinking. Drowning. And beneath her, more faces. Dozens. All looking up. All familiar. And then I saw myself. Not me now. Me from years ago. Standing on the edge. Watching. Doing nothing. A memory crashed into me like a truck. Rain. Screaming. A shove. A splash. Me turning. Running. I screamed. Not because of the faces. Not because of the lake. But because I knew. I had always known. I just didn't let myself remember. Daniel knelt beside me. "Now you see." I looked at him. Really looked. His face shifted. The features blurred. Then reshaped. Into hers. "My ex. You left me here," she said, her voice echoing from everywhere and nowhere. Now you stay too. I tried to move, but my body wouldn't listen. My skin turned cold. My breath slowed. I looked down. My hands were sinking into the ground. Not dirt. Water. The lake was rising, pulling me in. The last thing I saw was her face. Not angry. Not sad. Just empty. And then the dark took me. Now I sit on the shore, waiting. A car pulls up. A guy gets out. He checks his phone, smiles, starts walking down the path. I stand, smooth out the blanket. He'll sit. We'll talk. He won't remember. And when he realizes what he did, I'll be here, waiting. I never thought something as normal as online dating could make me question whether I was losing my mind. It started like any other dumb thing I've done late at night, scrolling through an app while half asleep, tapping on profiles without really seeing them, until her picture showed up. Not the kind of girl you see every day. Long dark hair, eyes that looked like they could see through you, a smile that was warm but not too eager. Her bio said she liked rainy days, old bookstores, and making pasta from scratch. Nothing wild. Nothing that screamed danger. Just normal. Too normal maybe. I swiped right. She did too. We matched. A little spark, a few dumb jokes, then actual conversation. She remembered things I said, asked questions that didn't feel like copy-pasted small talk. Within a week, we were texting every day. 2 weeks in, she suggested we meet. The place she picked was a quiet Italian spot tucked between a laundromat and a closed-down video store on the edge of town. Not romantic, not sketchy, just kind of forgotten. I got there early, sat by the window, watched rain drip down the glass like slow tears. When she walked in, I almost didn't recognize her. Not because she looked different, but because seeing her in real life made everything feel heavier. She smiled, took off her coat, and sat across from me. Up close, her eyes were even more intense. Not cold, not mean. Just like she was always thinking about something deeper than the conversation. We talked about movies, books, the weird smell of libraries. She laughed at my terrible jokes. I felt comfortable. Maybe too comfortable. Like I'd known her longer than a few weeks. We ordered wine, then pasta. Everything tasted better than it should have. The lighting was dim, the music low. The kind of place where time slows down. After dinner, she suggested we walk. The rain had stopped. The air was thick with that wet pavement smell. We ended up near the old train tracks that cut through the industrial part of town. No one ever goes there. Just rusted rails, graffiti-covered walls, and the occasional homeless guy with a shopping cart. But she walked like she belonged there, like she'd done it 100 times before. I followed, not thinking much of it. We talked about fears. She said she was afraid of silence. Not loud noises or spiders or heights, just silence. Like the kind that settles in when you're alone at night and realize no one would know if you screamed. I laughed it off, but something about the way she said it made my chest tighten. Then she stopped walking and looked at me, not smiling anymore, just staring. I asked if she was okay. She nodded, then said, "Do you ever feel like someone's watching you when you're alone? Like, not in a creepy way, but like someone's keeping track?" I didn't know what to say. I told her I'd had that feeling a few times, usually after horror movies. She nodded again, slow, like she was agreeing with something I didn't say. Then she reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a small, folded piece of paper. She handed it to me, without a word. It was a photo, black and white, grainy. Me, sitting on my couch, wearing the same hoodie I had on yesterday. The angle was from outside my apartment window. I stared at it, then at her. My heart started hammering. I asked how she got it. She just said, "I've been wanting to meet you for a long time." That's when the panic started crawling up my throat. I told her I had to go. She didn't argue, just nodded, said she understood, and walked me back to my car. She kissed me on the cheek before I got in. Her lips were cold. I drove home fast, hands shaking. Threw the photo on the passenger seat, like it was on fire. Tried to tell myself it was a prank, a misunderstanding. Maybe she took it from social media. But I never posted that photo. Never posted anything from inside my apartment. I checked the locks on my doors when I got home. Closed the blinds. Turned on every light. But the next morning, there it was. Another photo, slipped under my door. Me again. This time in the bathroom, brushing my teeth. Same grainy quality. Same outside the window angle. My mouth went dry. I called the cops. They came, took the photos, asked a bunch of questions, said they'd look into it. But I could tell they didn't take it seriously. Said it was probably a joke from a friend. I don't have friends like that. I stopped answering her texts. Unmatched her. Changed my number. Thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. The photos kept coming. Always grainy. Always from outside. Always me doing normal things. Making coffee. Sleeping. Staring at the wall. No matter how many times I changed my routine, blocked her, deleted the app, she always found a way. I started checking the windows constantly. Stopped leaving the house at night. Slept with a knife under my pillow. I even moved. New city, new apartment, new name on the lease. I thought I was safe. Then, 3 weeks later, I came home from work and found a box on my doorstep. No return address. Inside was a camera. Old, the kind with film. And a note. You were never the one watching me. It said. I was the one watching you. But you already knew that. I didn't understand. Not until I loaded the film and developed the photos. Every single one was of her. But not the her I met. These were old. Some looked like they were taken in the 70s. Same face, same eyes, but different clothes, different haircuts. In one, she was standing in front of a house I'd never seen. In another, she was sitting on a porch swing, smiling at the camera like she'd been waiting for it. The last photo was the worst. It was her, standing in what looked like my old apartment building. Same window, same angle, but the date stamp on the photo was from 1983. I checked the camera settings, found a folder labeled Collection. Hundreds of photos, all of her, all from different decades, all with the same face, same eyes, same smile. And then I saw one that stopped my breath. Me, standing in front of my car the night we first met. Taken from behind. Date stamp, October 12th, 2023. But that wasn't possible. I didn't have a camera then. I didn't even own that camera until yesterday. I went through the rest. More photos of me. Walking to work. Sleeping. Eating. All taken before I ever downloaded the dating app. Before I even moved to the city. Some were taken inside my apartment. Some were taken while I was alone in the bathroom. That's when I realized. She didn't find me. I found her. And I've done this before. I don't know how many times. The photos don't show me with her. Just me watching. Always watching. From the shadows. From the trees. From the empty building across the street. I've been following her for years. Decades maybe. I don't remember why. I don't remember when it started. But the way she looked at me that night, it wasn't recognition. It was relief. Like she'd been waiting for me to come back. I checked my reflection in the bathroom mirror. My face looked the same. But my eyes, they looked older. Tired. Like they'd seen too much. Like they'd been doing this forever. I packed a bag. Left the camera on the table. Drove until the city disappeared behind me. Ended up at a motel off the highway. Checked in under a fake name. Closed the curtains. Sat on the bed and tried to breathe. Then I heard it. A knock. Soft. Patient. I didn't move. Another knock. Then a voice. Quiet. Familiar. I know you're in there. I stayed silent. The knob turned. The door wasn't locked. She walked in like she owned the place. Same coat. Same hair. Same eyes that saw too much. She didn't say anything. Just looked at me. Then smiled. You always come back, she said. I wanted to run, but my body wouldn't move. She sat beside me. Cold hand on mine. It's okay, she whispered. I don't mind. I've been waiting. I looked at her. Really looked. And for the first time, I remembered. Not all of it. Just flashes. Her running. Me following. The camera always in my hand. The way she'd disappear for years. Then show up again. Like she was testing me. Seeing if I'd remember. But I never did. Until now. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I missed you, she said. And the worst part, I missed her too. I never believed in love at first sight, until I saw her at that little coffee shop on 47th and Vine, the one with the cracked tile floor and the smell of burnt espresso that clung to your clothes like a bad memory. She was sitting by the window, sunlight cutting across her face like a spotlight, one hand wrapped around a chipped mug, the other flipping through a book with pages so worn they looked like they'd been through a war. Her hair was this dark brown that almost looked black, unless the light hit it just right, and she kept tucking it behind her ear in this absent way, like she didn't even realize she was doing it. I stood there, frozen near the counter, pretending to study the pastry case, while really just stealing glances, my heart doing this weird stutter step, like it had forgotten how to work properly. I don't know how long I stood there, but eventually the barista called my name, and I snapped out of it, grabbing my coffee and nearly spilling it on the way to the only open seat, which, of course, was right across from her. She looked up, smiled this small, quiet smile, and went back to her book. I wanted to say something, anything, but my brain kept short-circuiting every time I opened my mouth. So I just sat there, sipping my too-hot latte, pretending I was reading an article on my phone about urban gardening or whatever. That was 3 weeks ago. Now, I'm sitting in my car outside her apartment, not because I'm some creep, but because she asked me to come over. We've been texting nonstop since that day, and last night she sent, "Come by whenever. I'll leave the door unlocked." Simple. Normal. Except nothing about this feels normal. The building is old, the kind of place that groans when the wind hits it just right, paint peeling like sunburnt skin, stairs that creak under even the lightest step. I take them slow, my shoes sticking slightly to the linoleum, like the floor's trying to hold me back. Her door is at the end of the hall, number 312, and just like she said, it's cracked open an inch. I knock once, just in case, but there's no answer. I push it open and step inside. The apartment smells like lavender and something else, something faintly metallic, like old coins or wet pipes. The lights are off, but there's a soft glow coming from the bedroom down the narrow hallway. Everything's neat, too neat, like no one actually lives here. The couch has no wrinkles, the coffee table has no fingerprints, and the only thing on it is a single framed photo of her, smiling in front of a lake I don't recognize. I pick it up, study her face. She looks happy, peaceful, but something about the way her eyes catch the light makes me uneasy. I set the frame down and move toward the bedroom. The glow is stronger now, pulsing almost, like a slow heartbeat. The doors open a few inches. I push it and step inside. She's there, lying on the bed, fully clothed, eyes closed, hands folded over her chest like she's sleeping or worse, like she's in a casket. I freeze. My breath catches. I take a step closer, then another, my pulse thudding in my ears. "Hey!" I whisper, but she doesn't move. I reach out, touch her arm. Cold. Too cold. That's when I see it. On the nightstand, next to a half-empty glass of water, is a notebook. Open. The page is covered in handwriting, her handwriting, but it's not a journal or a to-do list. It's a list. My name is at the top. Under it, Medic coffee shop. Nervous. Likes black coffee, no sugar. Talks with hands. Left-handed. My stomach drops. Below that, texts every morning. Always replies within 5 minutes. Likes horror movies. Afraid of deep water. How does she know that? I flip to the next page. More names. Dozens of them. Each with notes. Habits. Fears. Favorite colors. Birthdays. Locations where they were first seen. And next to each name, a single word, written in red ink. Failed. I start backing up, my chest tight, my skin prickling. I turn to leave, but the bedroom door swings shut on its own. I grab the handle, twist, locked. I slam my shoulder into it once, twice, but it doesn't budge. The light in the room flickers, then dims. From the bed, I hear a sound, a breath, then another. I turn. She's sitting up now, eyes open, staring at me. Not smiling, not blinking. Her voice, when it comes, is flat, like she's reading from a script. "You were supposed to leave after the 3rd date. You didn't. You kept coming back. You kept talking. You kept looking at me like I was real. I don't understand. What are you talking about? I like you. I thought you liked me too." She tilts her head, slow, mechanical. I don't like anyone. I collect data. I test responses. I see how close I can get before they notice something's wrong. Most people run by the second date. You're the first one who made it to 5. My mouth goes dry. This isn't funny. It's not meant to be. She stands smooth, like her joints don't creak or resist. You asked me about my family last week. I told you they died in a car crash. That was test 4. Empathy response. You cried. Good score. I back into the wall. You're sick. You need help. She takes a step forward. You told me your mom still lives in your childhood home, that you visit every Sunday, that you keep your old room exactly the way it was. That's useful information. My blood turns to ice. What did you do? Nothing yet, but I will. I always do. After they fail, I go to their homes. I sit in their rooms. I learn how they live. Then I become them. For a while. She's closer now. Close enough that I can see the tiny scar above her lip. The one she said she got falling off a bike when she was 7. I believed her. I believed everything. You're not going to fail, she says. You're too invested. Too attached. You'll come back. You'll keep trying. So I have to end it now. I try to scream, but my voice won't work. The light goes out completely. The air gets thick. Hard to breathe. I feel her hands on my shoulders, cold and steady, pushing me down onto the bed. I fight, but it's like moving through wet cement. My limbs won't listen. My thoughts scramble. The last thing I see before everything goes dark is her face hovering over mine, expressionless, and the notebook on the nightstand flipping to a fresh page. The next morning, my phone buzzes on my nightstand. A text from her. Hey, you up? Let's grab coffee. I smile, rub my eyes, and type back. Be right there. Outside, the sun is bright. The streets are quiet. And in my closet, buried under old hoodies, is a jacket that doesn't belong to me, dark blue, slightly too small, with a tag still attached that reads, Property of Daniel Reyes. I don't know who that is, but I'll find out. I never thought something as simple as swiping right could lead to this. I mean, we've all heard the horror stories, catfish, creeps, people who ghost you after one awkward coffee. But nothing prepares you for the kind that doesn't show up in headlines. The kind that creeps in slow, like fog rolling over a graveyard, until you realize you're already buried in it. It started like any other night. Rain tapping against my window, me sprawled on the couch in sweatpants, scrolling through the app out of sheer boredom. That's when I saw her. Her name was Lena. Picture of her laughing on a rooftop, city lights behind her, hair caught in the wind. Not the usual filtered, duck-faced nonsense. Just real. Alive. Something about the way her eyes crinkled at the corners made me tap, right before I even finished reading her bio. She liked old horror movies, hated cilantro, and claimed she could identify every species of spider just by looking at it. Weird, sure, but in a way that made her stand out. Within minutes, we matched. Messages flew back and forth, like we'd known each other for years. She was sharp, funny, asked questions that actually made me think. Not just, hey, or what's up, but stuff like, if you could erase one memory, would you? Or, do you think silence has a color? I couldn't remember the last time I talked to someone who didn't just want to show off their gym selfies or complain about their job. We decided to meet at this little cafe downtown, the kind with mismatched chairs and chalkboard menus. I got there early, nervous in that stupid teenage way, checking my hair in the bathroom mirror like it was going to make a difference. When she walked in, it was exactly like her photo. Same laugh, same wind-blown hair, same dark eyes that seemed to look right through you. We talked for hours. No awkward pauses, no forced topics. It felt easy. Too easy, maybe, but I didn't care. By the time we left, I was already replaying the night in my head, smiling like an idiot. She invited me over the next weekend. Her place was in this old converted warehouse on the edge of town, the kind of building that looks like it's been forgotten by time. Brick exterior, iron gates, ivy crawling up the sides. Inside, it was nothing like I expected. Minimalist, almost sterile. White walls, no pictures, no clutter. Just a couch, a coffee table, and a TV mounted on the wall. The only thing that stood out was this massive bookshelf filled with jars. Glass jars, all the same size, lined up perfectly. I didn't ask what was inside. They were cloudy, like they'd been frosted over, and something about them made my stomach tighten. But I brushed it off. Maybe art projects. Maybe she collected something weird. People have their quirks. We watched a movie, some black and white thing from the 50s about a town where people started vanishing one by one. I wasn't really paying attention. I kept glancing at the jars. At one point, I swear I saw something move inside one of them. A shadow, maybe. Or just my eyes playing tricks. When I looked again, nothing. Lena didn't seem to notice. She sat close, her shoulder pressing against mine, but there was no warmth in her touch. Her skin was cool, almost damp, like she'd just stepped out of a shower and hadn't dried off. After that night, things started changing. Not all at once, but in little ways that didn't make sense until it was too late. I'd wake up to text from her at 3 a.m. Just single words. Breathe. Listen. Remember. I'd call, but she never answered. When I showed up at her place, she'd be there, smiling, acting like everything was normal. But the apartment always felt colder, the air heavier. The jars were multiplying. More shelves, more rows. I asked her about them once. She just smiled and said, "They're memories. Everyone leaves something behind." I should have left it alone. Should have blocked her, deleted the app, gone back to my boring life. But I couldn't. There was something pulling me back, like I was caught in a current. I started dreaming about the jars. In the dreams, they were clear, and inside each one was a face. Twisted, screaming, frozen in glass. I'd wake up gasping, drenched in sweat, my phone glowing with another message. "You're next." Last night, I went back. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted answers. Maybe part of me knew what was coming but didn't care. The gate was unlocked. The lights were off, but a faint blue glow pulsed from the living room. The bookshelf was gone. In its place was a wall, floor to ceiling, covered in jars. Hundreds of them. Thousands. And in the center, one empty space. A label taped to the shelf, my name. I turned to leave, but the door was locked. No knob, no keyhole. Just smooth metal. My phone was dead. No signal, no light, nothing. Then I heard it, a wet, clicking sound, like bone snapping into place. I turned slowly. Lena stood in the hallway, but it wasn't her. Her skin was gray, stretched too tight over her bones. Her eyes were black, no whites, no pupils. Her mouth open too wide, jaw unhinging like a snake's, and from her throat came a voice that wasn't hers, layered, whispering, overlapping. "You stayed. You always stay. They all stay." I backed up until I hit the wall of jars. Cold glass pressed against my back. I could feel them now, faces pushing against the inside, mouths open in silent screams. Not dreams. Not hallucinations. Real. Trapped. She moved toward me, not walking, but gliding, like her feet weren't touching the floor. The air thickened, hard to breathe. My chest burned. I tried to scream, but my voice cracked, died in my throat. She reached out, fingers long and jointed wrong, and touched my cheek. Her skin wasn't skin. It was like touching wax, melting. "You don't remember," she said, her head tilting sideways, bones crunching. "But you were here before. You always come back. You always fill the jar." I dropped to my knees, clutching my head. Memories flooded in, flashes of other faces, other names, other lives. Me in different clothes, different rooms, always ending here. Always screaming. Always trapped. I wasn't the first. I wasn't even the 100th. I was just the latest loop in her cycle. She leaned down, her breath smelling like wet earth and old blood. "Don't worry," she whispered. "It won't hurt. Not after the first time." Then the world went dark. I wake up now in a small, curved space. Can't move. Can't scream. Just float in thick, warm liquid. Outside I see the room. The shelves. The other jars. And her, standing in front of a new one. Empty. Labeled with a different name. She smiles, turns, and walks away. I press my face against the glass, watching her go, waiting for the next one to arrive. I was hiding from the downpour under the awning of a closed bookstore, scrolling through my phone like I had something important to do, when I noticed her through the fogged-up window of the cafe. She was reading a book with no cover, just plain white pages taped together, and sipping tea like she didn't have a care in the world. Her hair was dark, almost wet-looking, pulled back into a loose knot, and she had this way of tilting her head when she read, like the words were whispering secrets directly into her ear. Something about her made me forget the rain, made me forget my soaked shoes, and the fact I was supposed to be meeting someone else, an online match who ghosted me an hour ago. I walked in without thinking, the bell above the door jingling like a warning I didn't hear. She looked up, just for a second, and smiled. Not the kind of smile people give when they're being polite. It was deeper, like she already knew me. I sat at the table across from her even though every rational part of my brain was screaming that this was insane. But she didn't tell me to leave. Instead, she closed her book and said my name. Not hey, not do I know you. She said my name, like she'd been saying it in her head for years. I didn't ask how she knew it. I didn't want to ruin the moment. We talked for hours. Her name was Lila. She didn't give a last name. She spoke like she'd lived 100 lives, calm, deliberate, like each word had been weighed before being let out. She liked old horror films, black and white ones with terrible sound quality. She hated the taste of chocolate, but loved the smell. She said she collected keys, real ones, not metaphors, because every lock had a story, and every key was a promise. I believed every word, not because it made sense, but because when she said it, the world bent just enough to make it true. We started seeing each other every week. Same cafe, same corner table. She always arrived before me, always had tea waiting, like she'd been there long before I walked in. I brought her little things, vintage keys from flea markets, a silent film on DVD, a bottle of lavender oil, because she once mentioned it reminded her of her grandmother. She never gave me anything back, but she'd hold the gifts in her hands like they were sacred, then tuck them into her worn leather bag, without another word. After a month, she finally asked me to her place. It was a small apartment on the 5th floor of a building that looked like it hadn't been updated since the 80s. The elevator didn't work, and the hallway smelled like mothballs and burnt toast. Her door had 3 locks, not the kind people install for safety. These were old, brass, heavy, the kind you see in old libraries or vaults. She unlocked them slowly, one after another, then stepped aside to let me in. The apartment was warm, dimly lit by salt lamps and candles. No TV, no phone, no laptop. Just books stacked in towers, keys hanging from strings on the walls, and a record player humming a tune I didn't recognize. The air was thick, not with dust, but with something else, like the room was holding its breath. She offered me tea, same as always, and we sat on the floor because there were no chairs. That's when I noticed the photos. They were tucked between books, pinned behind curtains, stuck in the spine of an open dictionary. Dozens of them, all men, all smiling, all with the same look in their eyes. The one I probably had right then. Happy, hooked, helpless. I tried to act normal, sipping my tea, but my hands were shaking. One of the photos was dated 10 years ago. Another looked like it was from the 90s. But the men, they didn't age. They looked the same. Same faces, same clothes, same expressions. Like they were frozen. I asked her about them. She didn't flinch. Just said, "They're my collectors." I laughed, thinking it was a joke. But she didn't laugh. She leaned forward, her eyes darker than I'd ever seen, and said, "They gave me what I needed. Now they stay with me." That's when the tea started to taste wrong. Bitter. Metallic. I put the cup down, but it was too late. The room tilted. My limbs felt heavy, like they weren't mine anymore. I tried to stand, but my legs wouldn't listen. She watched me, calm, like she'd done this 1,000 times. Maybe she had. The last thing I remember is her voice, soft, almost loving, saying, "You'll be beautiful on the wall." I woke up in my own bed, sunlight cutting through my blinds. My head hurt. My mouth was dry. I checked my phone. No missed calls, no messages. Nothing from Lila. I thought maybe it was all a dream. A weird, messed up dream brought on by stress or bad coffee. But then I saw it. On my dresser, next to my wallet and keys, was a single brass key I'd never seen before. It was old, tarnished, with intricate engravings that looked almost like writing. And beneath it, a small black and white photo. Me, smiling, sitting in that cafe, the rain falling outside. The photo was dated yesterday, but I hadn't been to the cafe yesterday. I haven't left my apartment since. Every time I try, I find another photo. On my pillow, in my jacket pocket, taped to the bathroom mirror. Always me, always smiling, always in places I don't remember being. And the keys keep showing up. One on Monday, one on Wednesday. This morning, 3 at once, lined up like teeth on my kitchen counter. I checked the locks on my door. I added 2 new ones last week, cheap deadbolts from the hardware store. But yesterday I found a third, older, heavier, brass, one I didn't install. I tried to remove it, but the screws were stripped, like they'd been tightened from the inside. I don't know how she's getting in. I don't know how she's taking the photos. I don't know what the keys are for. But I know what she meant now. They gave her what she needed. And now I'm giving it too. Last night, I woke up to the sound of clicking, like metal tapping against wood. I turned on the lamp. There, on the wall above my desk, was a new photo. Me asleep, mouth slightly open, one hand under my pillow, and in the corner of the frame, barely visible, the tip of a key being slid under the door. I didn't sleep after that. I sat with the lights on, staring at the door, listening. The apartment is quiet, but not empty. I can feel her. Not in the room, not behind the walls, but in the silence between heartbeats, in the space where my thoughts slow down. She's in the pauses. I found another key this morning. It's on my nightstand, next to a cup of tea, still warm. I don't remember making tea. I don't remember drinking it, but my lips taste like lavender again. So there I was, scrolling through this dating app like I do every Sunday night, half bored, half hoping some miracle would happen, and I'd match with someone who actually replied with more than just a hey. My thumb was tired, my eyes were burning from the screen glow, and my dog was giving me that look like, dude again? But then her profile popped up, Claire. Not some over-edited influencer with duck lips and a filter that made her look like an anime character. Just a girl, smiling in what looked like a forest, wearing a denim jacket and holding a thermos. Her bio said she liked long walks, bad horror movies, and making playlists for moods that don't even have names. And she had this one line, I collect weird rocks. If you think that's lame, we won't get along. I swiped right so fast I almost dropped my phone. We matched within seconds. No awkward waiting. She messaged first, you seem like the type who'd judge me for eating cold pizza for breakfast. I replied with the, only if it's Hawaiian. And she said, then we're done here. But with a laughing emoji, so I knew she was joking. We texted all night. Not the boring, what do you do? Crap. Real stuff. She told me about how she used to live in a tiny town where everyone knew everyone, and how she moved to the city to escape her mom's constant nagging about settling down. I told her about my job at the bike shop, how I fix gears and brake lines all day, how my hands are always stained with grease, no matter how hard I scrub. She said she liked that, said it made me seem real. We decided to meet at this little coffee place near the river. Old brick building, ivy crawling up the side, the kind of spot that looks like it should be in a movie. I got there early, ordered a black coffee, and sat by the window. When she walked in, I recognized her instantly, even though her hair was down instead of in a ponytail like in her pics. She had this calm way of moving, like she wasn't in a rush, like time didn't matter. She smiled when she saw me, and I swear my stomach did this weird flip thing. We talked for hours, about music, about dumb arguments we've had with strangers online, about that one time we both got lost hiking and had to follow a squirrel to find the trail. It felt easy, like we'd known each other forever. When she said she lived just a 10-minute walk from there, I didn't even think twice when she asked if I wanted to come over. I mean, yeah, I've heard the warnings. Don't go to a girl's place on the first date. What if she's a psycho? What if she has a restraining order on her ex taped to the fridge? But Claire didn't feel like that. She felt safe. Her apartment was on the third floor of this old building with creaky wooden stairs and a smell like cinnamon and old books. The place was small but cozy. Fairy lights strung across the ceiling. A record player in the corner spinning some mellow indie song I didn't know. Shelves full of books and weird-looking stones. She offered me tea, and I said sure, still buzzing from the coffee, but not about to say no. While she was in the kitchen, I wandered over to the shelf. One rock caught my eye, black, smooth, almost glassy, with tiny white specks like stars. I picked it up. Felt cold, heavier than it looked. That's when I noticed the photo tucked behind it. A family picture. Claire, younger, standing between a man and a woman. They were all smiling, but something about the man's eyes felt off. Like he was smiling with his mouth, but not his face. I was about to put it back when Claire came in with 2 mugs. She saw me holding the rock, didn't say anything at first. Just handed me the tea and sat on the couch. "You like it?" she said, nodding at the rock. "It's cool," I said. "Where'd you get it?" She took a slow sip, then looked at me. "Found it in the woods behind my old house, right after my dad disappeared." I froze. "Wait, what?" She didn't look sad. Not angry either. Just blank. "He went for a walk one night. Never came back. They searched for weeks. Nothing. Just his boots, filled with dirt, sitting by the back door." I didn't know what to say. I just sat down, set the rock back on the shelf like it burned me. After that, I started noticing things. The way she kept glancing at the clock. How the apartment was too quiet, like the walls were swallowing sound. How she kept touching her left wrist, rubbing it like it hurt. And the tea, it tasted weird. Not bad, just sharp like metal. I made an excuse to use the bathroom. Needed air, needed to think. I locked the door, turned on the faucet to cover any noise, and checked my phone. No signal. Of course. I opened a mirror cabinet, just toothpaste, floss, a half-empty bottle of painkillers. Then I saw it. A tiny red light blinking behind the mirror. A camera. My heart kicked up. I turned off the faucet, pressed my ear to the door. Silence. Then soft footsteps. Moving slow, like someone pacing. I waited. After a minute, I cracked the door open. Claire was in the kitchen, her back to me, pouring something from a small bottle into her tea. I couldn't see what it was. I don't know why I didn't bolt. Maybe it was shock. Maybe I was still hoping it was all some weird misunderstanding. But I stayed. Walked back out like nothing happened. Sat down. Finished my tea, even though my throat felt tight. She smiled. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "Just tired." She reached over, took my hand. Her skin was cold. "We don't have to do anything," she said. "We can just sit." And we did. For a long time. The music played. The lights dimmed. I started feeling heavy. My arms, my legs, like they weren't mine anymore. I tried to stand, but my body wouldn't listen. I slumped back into the couch. Claire leaned close. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. "I knew you'd come," she said. "You're the first one who didn't ask too many questions. The others, they ruined it. They ran. They screamed. But you stayed." My vision blurred. I could still hear, still think, but I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. She brushed my hair back. "My dad always said people like us don't belong in the world. Too soft. Too trusting. He used to bring them home. Said he was helping them. But he wasn't. He just wanted to see how long they'd last. I wanted to close my eyes. I didn't want to see what came next. But I had to." She stood, walked to the shelf, and picked up that black rock. Then she pulled a small knife from her pocket. Not big. Just enough. "I'm not like him," she said, looking down at me. "I don't let them suffer. I make it quick. And I keep a piece. Something to remember." She pressed the blade to my wrist. I felt the sting, then warmth, then nothing. The last thing I saw was her placing a small, smooth stone on the shelf. Fresh, wet, and the photo behind it, me, smiling next to her, arms around each other, taken while I was still conscious, while I still thought this was going somewhere good. The record kept playing. The light stayed on. And somewhere, deep in the woods behind her old house, a pair of boots sat by a door that no one would ever open again. I always rolled my eyes at those. Too dramatic. Too staged. But now, I'm not so sure. Because what happened to me wasn't staged. It was real. And it started with an app. Not one of those sketchy ones either. The kind people joke about, where you swipe right and end up getting scammed or ghosted in 2 days. No, this was one of the big ones. The one everyone uses when they're tired of being single and actually want to meet someone real. I matched with her on a Tuesday. Her name was Elise. Her profile was clean. No weird filters, no gym selfies, just her smiling in front of a lake. Wind in her hair, wearing a denim jacket. She looked normal, like someone you could actually talk to. Her bio said she liked long walks, indie music, and rainy days. Kinda basic, but in a comforting way. Like she wasn't trying too hard. We chatted for a week. Nothing wild. Just the usual back and forth, movies, food. Mutual hate for cilantro. She laughed at my dumb jokes. Asked about my dog. Remembered I worked in IT. It felt easy. Like we'd known each other longer than we had. When she suggested we meet at that little coffee shop near the old train station, I didn't hesitate. I was actually excited. Not in a desperate way. Just hopeful. The place was called the Rusty Spoke. It's one of those spots tucked between a laundromat and a shuttered bookstore. Dim lighting, mismatched chairs. The kind of place that smells like old paper and cinnamon. I got there early, ordered a black coffee, and sat by the window. Outside, the sky was that weird gray blue you only see in late autumn, like the sun gave up halfway through the day. I checked my phone. She was 5 minutes late. No big deal. I scrolled through a meme thread, sipped my coffee, tried not to look like a creep checking the door every 10 seconds. Then she walked in. And yeah, she looked exactly like her photos. Maybe even better. Same denim jacket, same messy bun, same soft smile. But there was something else. A stillness in her eyes. Like she was watching me before I even saw her. She waved, sat down, said something about traffic. Her voice was low, calm. Not robotic, but measured. Like every word had been picked carefully. We talked. Normal stuff. She told me about her job at a botanical garden. How she liked pruning roses, because it made her feel in control. I told her about my dog. How he barks at mailmen like they're invading armies. She laughed. It wasn't loud, just a quiet huff through her nose. I liked it. We finished our drinks. She suggested a walk. Said there was a park nearby, with a duck pond. I agreed. Why not? The park was empty. Not surprising for a weekday evening in November. Leaves crunched under our feet, and the air had that damp, earthy smell you get after rain. We walked side by side, not too close, not too far. She pointed out trees, named them like she was reciting poetry. Sycamore, red oak, black walnut. I didn't know trees had names like that. She said she could tell their age just by the bark. Said older trees have scars. Like people. That's when I noticed it. Her hand. When she reached out to touch the trunk of a maple, I saw the ring. Silver, thin, with a tiny black stone. I didn't say anything. Just filed it away. Maybe it was sentimental. A gift. A family thing. But something about it felt off. Like it didn't belong on her hand. Too heavy. Too cold looking. We kept walking. The path curved toward the pond. It was murky, half frozen at the edges. A few ducks paddled near the reeds, their heads jerking like they were nervous. Elise stopped and stared at the water. For a long time. Like she was waiting for something to surface. Then she said, "Do you believe in past lives?" I froze. Not the kind of question you expect on a first date. I mumbled something about not knowing, maybe, kind of. She turned to me. Her eyes were different now. Darker. Not angry. Just focused. She said, "I remember mine." And then she told me. About a house. A fire. A man who locked the doors from the outside. About waking up choking. Crawling through smoke. Beating at windows that wouldn't break. About dying. And about him. The man. The one who watched. Who smiled. She said his name was Daniel. And then she looked at me and said, "You look just like him." My stomach dropped. Not because I believed her, but because of the way she said it. Like it wasn't a joke. Like it was fact. Like she'd been waiting to say it for years. I took a step back. Tried to laugh it off. Said something like, Crazy coincidence, huh? But my voice cracked. She didn't move. Just kept staring. Then she smiled. Not a nice one. The kind that shows too many teeth. She said, "I've been looking for you for a long time." I turned and walked fast. Didn't run. Didn't want to give her the satisfaction. But my heart was slamming against my ribs. I could feel her eyes on my back the whole way to the parking lot. I got in my car, locked the doors, drove home without looking in the rearview. That night, I couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about her eyes. That ring. The way she said Daniel. I Googled her name. Nothing. No social media. No work profile. The botanical garden? They'd never heard of her. I checked the app. Her profile was gone. Like she'd never existed. I told myself I dodged a bullet. Some weirdo. A liar. A scammer. Whatever. I blocked the number, deleted the app, tried to forget. But then the messages started. Texts. No Zenda Nama. Just blank. One word each. Remember. You promised. Come back. I changed my number. Still got them. From different numbers. Always the same words. Always at 2:17 a.m. Then the dreams started. Not normal ones. Vivid. I was in a house. Wooden floors. Curtains on fire. Smoke everywhere. A woman screaming behind a door. And me, standing outside. Holding a key. Laughing. I woke up sweating. Every time. Same dream. Different details. Same feeling. Guilt. Pride. Satisfaction. I started avoiding mirrors. Not because I was scared of what I'd see, but because sometimes I didn't recognize myself. My face looked older. Harder. Like it had lived another life. Last night, I found the ring. On my nightstand. Silver. Black stone. Exactly like hers. I don't remember bringing it home. Don't remember seeing it before. But it was there. Sitting next to my phone. And under it a note. Asterisk, you left me to burn. Now it's your turn, asterisk. I packed a bag. Drove to a motel 2 towns over. Checked in under a fake name. Turned off my phone. Locked the door. Put a chair under the knob. Sat on the bed. Watched the clock. 2:17 a.m. The lights flickered. Then died. Moonlight came through the thin curtains. I saw her shadow first. In the corner. Then she stepped forward. Same denim jacket. Same calm voice. You don't remember, she said. But you will. I tried to scream. Couldn't. My throat was tight. Like something was pressing down. She walked closer. Took my hand. Slid the ring onto my finger. It fit perfectly. You made me suffer, she whispered. Now I'm giving you the same gift. I felt it then. Heat. Not from the room. From inside. Like my skin was cooking. My breath came in gasps. I looked down. My arms were turning red. Blisters forming. I could smell it. Burning flesh. She stood there. Watching. Smiling. Just like I did, she said. And as the pain swallowed me, as the walls of the room melted into flames I couldn't see, but could feel, one thought cut through the agony. I remember. I remember everything. And I deserve this. I saw her profile. Not because she was the prettiest, though she was, in a quiet, unbothered way, but because she posted a photo of a bookshelf. Real books. Dog-eared paperbacks. No fake Instagram aesthetic. One of them was my favorite novel, spine cracked open like it had been read a dozen times. I messaged her. She replied in 6 minutes. That's when I knew something was different. We talked for weeks. Not the usual, hey, how's your day crap. We argued about movies. Debated whether pineapple belongs on pizza. She said no. I said yes. We both laughed. And once, at 2 a.m., she sent me a voice note just to say she could hear the rain outside, and it made her think of me. Her voice was soft, like someone whispering through a wall. I started falling before I even met her. When we finally agreed to meet, she picked a place, a little coffee shop tucked behind an old movie theater downtown. The kind of spot you'd walk past 100 times and never notice. Brick walls, flickering neon sign that said Cinema Brew in faded red letters. I got there early, ordered a black coffee, and waited. She walked in 10 minutes late, wearing a gray hoodie and jeans, her hair pulled into a messy bun. She looked exactly like her pictures, but better. More real. She smiled when she saw me, and I swear my chest did this weird clenched thing, like my heart forgot how to beat for a second. We talked for 3 hours. No awkward silences. No forced topics. It felt like we'd known each other for years. She told me about her job at a pet shelter, how she fostered cats with special needs. I told her about my anxiety, how I sometimes panic in crowded places. She didn't flinch, just nodded like it made sense. When she laughed, it was quiet, like she was letting me in on a secret. We started seeing each other regularly. Movies, walks in the park, late-night diner runs. She always paid for her half, never made a big deal about it. We'd lie on her couch, her head on my chest, watching old horror films. She loved them, said they made her feel alive. I didn't mind. I liked watching her more than the screen anyway. Then the little things started. First, she never answered calls. Always texts. Always. If I called, it'd go to voicemail, and she'd reply an hour later like nothing happened. I asked her about it once. She said her phone was broken, needed a new screen. Made sense. But then I saw her using it at dinner, scrolling through Instagram like it worked just fine. Then there were the times she'd disappear. Not for days, just hours. No text, no explanation. I'd wake up to a message saying she'd had a rough night and needed space. I'd ask what was wrong, and she'd say nothing, just tired. But her eyes looked hollow when she said it, like something was eating her from the inside. I started noticing other stuff. She never invited me to her place. Always met in public or at my apartment. When I asked why, she said her roommate was weird about guests. Fair enough. But then one night, I drove her home. She gave me the address. I pulled up to this apartment complex, old, paint peeling, flickering streetlight. She kissed me quick and said she'd text tomorrow. I watched her walk inside, up the stairs, down the hall. The door closed. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. No lights came on. I sat there another 10, wondering if I should leave. Then I saw it. A shadow behind the curtain. Just for a second. Then gone. I told myself it was nothing. Probably her roommate moving around. But something in my gut twisted. A week later, I brought it up. Casually. Hey, that place you live, kind of sketchy, huh? She didn't answer right away. Just stared at her coffee. Then said, I don't live there. I froze. What? She looked up, calm. I don't live there. I was staying with a friend that night. I didn't know what to say. Why lie? Why make me drive her to a fake address? I should have backed off then. Should have walked away. But I didn't. I told myself I was overthinking. That she had her reasons. People have baggage. I had mine. Then came the dreams. Not dreams. Nightmares. Always the same. I'm in a long hallway, dim light, doors on both sides. I'm looking for her. I hear her voice, whispering my name. I follow it. Open a door. It's her apartment. But empty. No furniture. Just walls. And then I see her, standing in the corner, facing the wall. I call her name. She turns. Her face, it's not hers. It's like a blur, like a photo out of focus. I wake up sweating, heart slamming. I started checking her social media. Nothing. No new posts. No stories. Her profile looked the same as the day we met. No tags, no check-ins. It was like she hadn't existed before me. I followed her one night. I know how that sounds. Creepy. But I was worried. She'd been distant, texting less, canceling plans last minute. I told her I was working late, then drove to her usual hangout spots. Nothing. Then I remembered the coffee shop. She said she liked to go there alone, sometimes to read. I parked across the street. Waited. An hour passed. Then I saw her. She walked in. Same hoodie, same slow pace. I watched through the window. She sat at a corner table, pulled out a book. I couldn't see the cover. She didn't look up. Didn't touch her coffee. Just sat there still. For 40 minutes. Then she left. I waited 5, then went inside. The barista recognized me. You're her boyfriend, right? My stomach dropped. Yeah. He pointed to the table. She left this. A book. I picked it up. It was mine. The one from my shelf. The one I'd lent her weeks ago. But the pages, they were filled with writing. My name, over and over, in different handwriting. Some neat, some scribbled, some pressed so hard the pen tore the paper. And at the back, a list. Dates, times, places, all of them spots I'd been, things I'd said, things I'd done, including the night I followed her. I flipped to the middle. A photo. Me, sleeping, taken from across the room. Another of me in the shower, the bathroom door slightly open. Another of me checking my phone, sitting on the couch. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I went home fast, checked every window, locked the doors twice, sat in the dark, staring at the book. That's when I heard it. A knock. Soft. 3 times. I didn't move. Another knock. Then a voice. Hers. I know you're in there. I just want to talk. I stayed silent. The doorknob turned. I hadn't just locked it. I'd bolted it. But it turned anyway. Slow. Like it wasn't locked at all. The door opened. She stood there. Same hoodie. Same face. But her eyes, they were wrong. Too wide. Too still. I backed up. She stepped in. Didn't speak. Just closed the door behind her. Walked toward me. I grabbed the lamp, ready to swing. Then she smiled. Not her smile. Too wide. Too many teeth. You don't remember me, do you? She said. I didn't answer. We met before. 2 years ago. At the shelter. You came in. Said you wanted a cat. I showed you one. You said no. Too ugly. Too broken. You left. But I remembered your face. Your voice. I looked you up. Found your Instagram. Followed you. Watched you. She took another step. You smiled at everyone. Laughed. Had friends. Had a life. And I was still there. Cleaning cages. Feeding strays. Alone. Another step. I wanted to be close to you. So I made myself into what you'd like. The bookshelf. The quiet laugh. The late-night voice notes. I studied you. Learned you. Became you. She was close now. Too close. You were never dating me, she whispered. You were dating the idea of me. The version I gave you. And you loved it. You loved me. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. She reached into her pocket. Pulled out a phone. Turned on the screen. A video. Me. In my apartment. Sleeping. Same as the photo. But this time, the camera moved. Panned left. To the other side of the bed. There was someone else there. A woman. Long hair. Pale skin. Eyes open. Staring at the ceiling. I didn't recognize her. But I knew. I'd never lived alone.